I'm a few minutes early, so if you are watching the replay, it might be a little quiet for a minute, and I might do something weird. So I hope I don't, but I've got about 2 minutes before anyone jumps on. And if I'm smart, before I send out this replay, I will delete this part. Sometimes I think I delete it and it doesn't delete. So anyway, that's just what you'll get to know about me if you hang out with me too much, or not too much, but just enough. Drink Diet Coke. Do I need my glasses? Does that make life better? Not really. Okay, I was on here a second ago too, and there were 2 people on, and then I closed it and it probably kicked them off. Hopefully they'll join again. Got 1 minute. I hope this goes okay. Hello, friends. I'm going to wait just a few more minutes. There are 4 of us here now, so you're welcome to keep your video on. If you'll just mute your microphone so that I don't hear, the doorbell ring or anything like that. Just little things like that will be very helpful. But we will get started in just a few minutes, probably in just a minute or 2. I had about 26 people respond to say they wanted to come to this, but then the last minute, something always happens. So I totally get it. This will be recorded and you'll be sent the recording in an email by the end of the day. Let's all cross our fingers. So just so you know, I'm super casual, so I may flubber on something, but we'll just laugh about it and move on. But I'm going to do a full presentation. So you'll see the screen will be full of slides. We'll follow through. I've got notes. Who knows if I'll look at my notes? Sometimes I think that's such a good idea and then I never even look at them. So hopefully I do though, because I know there's certain things in there that I really want to say. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A. So anyway, I feel like it's 10:01. I don't know. We might wait another minute. I'd love to hear where everybody's from. I actually know most of you. Kendra, I don't feel like I know you. Where are you from? You can write it in the chat or you can unmute, whatever you feel comfortable doing. If you look at the bottom, you'll see a little chat bubble and you can type in things. So that's another thing. You may even want to, as you're going through, feel free, as I'm going through the slides, grab a notebook, a pen, a piece of paper, something where you can, write notes as we go along, ask questions, write yourself the questions down that you want to ask at the end. Juanita, hello, right outside of Kansas City. So I'm happy for y'all. Go ahead and write in the chat. Make sure that you mute yourself so that we don't hear that, any outside noises. And I feel like we should go ahead and get started. It's 10:02 and I want to be, honor your time. Angleton, Texas. That's a fun. I don't feel like I go to Texas enough. I need to put Texas on my list of places to go. Maybe even Dallas Market. That's always fun, right? I've never been, but I need to go. So, okay, I'm gonna be trying to pay attention as people, if anyone does decide to join after this. So I don't know what that'll do with my slides, but what I'm going to do is share my screen. Like I said, feel free to write your questions or comments in the chat as we're going along. Take notes as we're going along, and then at the end we'll have a Q&A. So got one person connecting. I'm going to go ahead, and she's muted herself. Nope, actually I'm going to, let's see. Yep, everybody's muted. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen and find my presentation. Share. Okay, so we're just going to do present. In a big way, I have a really big computer, so it's huge on my computer. Can everybody see everything? I can still see your faces right now. Can everybody see? You're going to see my logo, a picture of my face, and my name. Can everybody see all that? Okay, great. Then let's just get started. So like I said, grab a pen, a place that you can take notes. What we're going to talk about today is my circle of success. So the 3 ways to successfully sell at market. And I just realized that I have your faces over here to the left, which makes me look to the left, which is far from my camera. So I'm going to just make that small so I don't feel like I need to look at you guys. So circle of success, 3 ways to successfully sell at market. Like I said, grab that pen. I want you to make sure that if you have questions at the end, you can ask them. This presentation is sponsored by the Inspired Market Mentorship. So this is something we'll talk about at the end. It's my market program that I am going to be starting in March, and I'm hoping that some of you guys might be interested. So here we go. You're in the right place if you have a proven product that you want to sell to stores. You work for your business instead of your business working for you. I know some of you that I know personally, I know that's the case. And somehow at working so hard, you're not bringing in the income for the time that you're working. You have orders come in and then you fulfill and ship one at a time. So that's something that we're going to talk about how to save time and money there. You're exhausted after the holiday season, always wondering if sales are going to come in, especially in that first quarter after the holidays. Where's the money going to come in at the beginning of the year? You're worried you can't make it in the first quarter of the year. Where will the sales come from? So you want to plan your year with revenue coming in consistently so that you can spend time creating and not feel behind and overwhelmed. Is that true? Is there anybody here that feels that way? I think we all kind of feel that way. If we could just, wave a magic wand and make that happen easily, I think we all would, but there's always work to be done. So I'm going to introduce myself. If you don't know me already, I'm Lucy. I have a degree in fashion merchandising, and I've been a manager in a department store, a buyer for a multi-million-dollar company, a small boutique gift shop here in Birmingham. I've owned an art store, been a marketing director at a marketing firm, and for several retail stores. I created a jewelry line, and then I took it to market and sold it to over 300 stores. So all that to say, when I look back at that, I think, wow, that's a lot of different things. But in reality, they all go together. They all give me the qualifications that I need to help you get to market yourself. So I have experience on both sides of the coin as far as going to market, being a retailer and a wholesaler. And I'm soon to be your biggest advocate in the wholesale world. So this is our schedule for today. We're going to go through roadblocks for successfully selling wholesale. A couple of roadblocks we'll talk about are cutting your prices in half, not being able to make enough to sell to a lot of stores. No one wants to know the person behind the brand. That's something that we'll talk about a little bit. I think people think that people don't want to know the face behind the brand, but it's so important to tell your story. So then we'll go into my circle of success, which is that 3-part proven network. And then we'll do a Q&A. So let's talk about some of these roadblocks that keep product makers from going to wholesale trade shows. Roadblocks. I have to cut my prices in half. Number 2, we just talked about, I won't be able to produce enough if something big happens. I don't want to market myself and my brand. Marketing is hard for a lot of us. So here are some factors to consider when you're determining if you're ready for wholesale trade shows. There's standard pricing, there's value pricing, or what I like to, that's the perceived value. So I call that value pricing. Is there time to create? is their energy to create, and then the skill to create or learn new skills to create. Well, the factors are supply cost, labor cost, production time, which I think is a big one for a lot of people, and then your supply delivery schedule. So all of these things are very important if you are ready. If you want to go to a wholesale trade show, you need to know all of these factors. Okay, so I want you to dream with me. I want you to take a minute and you grabbed a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, or maybe write it down in your notes, because I want this list to stay with you for a long time. I want you to tell me what your dream stores are. What are the stores that if you could walk into that store and see your products there, what would those stores be? They're probably going to be different depending on what your product is. And so I want you to just write down, you can write down one, you can write down five, but just write down a few stores that you feel like are where you'd like to see your products. So I want you to imagine seeing your products in these stores across the country. Okay. So, I mean, really like take a second and walk yourself into that store and see your products on their shelves or on a table. And what would that look like? What would it feel like to see that happen? So what will your dream store be? And so let's go ahead and write that list. And I'd love for you to add it in the comments if you get a chance. I'd love to go back and look at those at the end and see what dream stores you have. For me, when I first started, creating this business, this product of jewelry, I thought, how cool would it be to be in Anthropologie? It's one of my favorite stores to shop in. It feels like a store that has been, the buyers have traveled across the world. They've seen a lot of different things, and they have brought all those textures and all that color and all of the personalities from around the world into that store. I think it's changed a little bit over the past years. It feels a little bit more mass produced. But in the beginning, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted my products to be in an Anthropologie. I wanted them to, wanted people to see them and understand what made them important to be in that store. So I'd love for you to add that in the comments if you haven't already. Okay, so again, I still want you to continue to dream about this. Like, how would it feel to walk into that store and see your products on the shelves? Or this was really cool for me, have a friend call you and tell you they saw your products in their favorite store. When I, was creating products all the time, and friends would take pictures and post it on Instagram and tag me in it. Or they would be in places like really far away from Alabama, Michigan, and, different places. I say that's way up north, but I'm from Alabama, so I'm way down here in the South. But just anywhere around where they would see my products in that store and send me that picture. And it was overwhelming to think that, you go to market, you sell to these buyers, they're all in Atlanta. That's where I would always go to market. And then they made it to all over the world, or all over the United States. I never actually shipped internationally, but I did have a store in Alaska. So that was kind of my farthest place. And so the best thing about going to market is meeting buyers in person and telling them about your products. And then you can see the look in their eyes when they decide to buy. So that's what the feelings that I want you to be thinking about as we're going through these slides. So is wholesale still relevant? I think that's something that, with the market today, we have Etsy, we have, everyone has their individual website. In the beginning, I'll date myself. And let's see, after I left Parisian as a buyer, it was like 1998, I was selling internet to people. I was working for an internet company, whatever you call that. Bell South was the company that I worked for. And we would cold call small businesses and tell them that they needed a website and that they needed the internet. So I'm a dinosaur. It's fine. Just remember that I have a lot of experience. And so now everybody has a website. You can think about anything, you Google it, a website's going to come up. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, there's anything actually there, everybody has a website. And so Yes, the wholesale market is changing. There are lots of options for customers to choose from. So I think a lot of times Amazon gets a bad rap, but at the same time, it makes things convenient. And there's a place for you as a product maker on Amazon. So let's skip to the next and talk about how there are still thousands, and I'm talking tens of thousands of buyers across the country that are buying for their brick and mortar locations, and they're buying for their online stores. You still have the ability to reach more customers by selling wholesale than any other way. You can create that website, you can sell one-to-one all day long, but if you can get into stores and create build a relationship with the buyers, you're going to have a customer. You're going to have multiple customers that are going to see it in the store, and those buyers are going to continue to buy from you over and over and over again. So what are we going to do? What do we want to do? We want to do less and make more. Make more what? Make more money. So let's talk about this. Let's look at this is one of those things that I think it lays it out in black and white. You know, it shows you what it looks like to sell wholesale versus direct to customer. So when you're selling one-to-one, let's just say your average order is $50. To make $10,000 a month, you need to sell 200 orders. When you're selling wholesale, your average order is $400. To make $10,000 a month, you sell 25 orders. How much time will it take to make, package, and ship 200 orders versus 25 orders? Just look at that for a minute. Take that in. I want you to, realize, because I know a lot of you are probably thinking, but I make more money, have a better profit margin when I'm selling direct to customer. So just look at that for a minute and tell me which one you would rather be. Would you rather be selling those 200 orders to make $10,000 a month, or would you rather be selling 25 orders to make $10,000 a month? What if you knew the orders would be coming in advance because the orders were placed at market and you could make them before you have to ship? This was a revelation to me. I don't even know that I realized this was going to be a huge part of creating my plan for the year when I decided to go to market. I went to market in January, and January was my biggest month year after year when I was selling wholesale. And so when those orders are placed at market, when those buyers say, it doesn't matter what you have, if you have something that can ship immediately, or if you have something that's going to ship in September, they'll still place those orders, or they'll know about it so they can place them in advance, and you'll be able to make them before you have to ship. That's such a big deal, especially when you're a small business and you are doing a lot of the work on your own. And so what if you were what if you were working with buyers who are buying in bulk? So it's, these buyers are not buying 5 or 10. These buyers are buying 20 to 30 to 100, depending on what stores you're in. So let's talk about this. It's less admin. It's less packing and shipping. It's less making as you sell. So sell it and then make it. It's less of that. It's also more money, more time to produce products in advance, more time to be creative. I think we all, as small businesses, as product makers, creativity is so deep inside us. It's what we crave to do. It's what drives us. And so we need more time to be creative, and then more time to build a relationship with buyers so they will continue to buy more. Building that relationship, let me just throw that in, is so important if you want to sell wholesale. So in reality, that's almost 10 times more of everything except those tedious tasks, shipping one at a time. So here's a few of my past clients. I've had the privilege and honor to coach 8 people through wholesale training. 2 of them ended up going to market, and the other 5, it just didn't work out with their schedules or their family at the time, but I'm still working with some of them, and we're still talking about, how they can make it to market and what they can do to build that wholesale business outside of maybe even going to market. So Jody says, I learned I can be more in control of products I offer for wholesale, so it's not so overwhelming on the back end for me and my ladies. Also, how to successfully pitch to potential new wholesale customers. Don't just send products, build a relationship and keep trying. I love that. And I'll just tell you about Jody's business. She sells leather earrings and she is super creative and she can make 1,000 different earrings. And so we really had to hone in her what she was offering for wholesale and let her know she can continue to make thousands of different pairs of earrings. She can sell a certain one to her wholesale clients and then get creative and create new things for those direct to consumer. Lori says, I learned things I didn't expect. I honestly didn't expect to take away things like sourcing information. So that's something that is very important to me, to give you all of the information that I have, that I've gained and pulled together over the last 30 years. And then she says the support and community over competition vibe has been invaluable. And I think that's something that, as we get older and we realize we're not fighting for, the biggest piece of the pie, we're just fighting for our piece of the pie. I think that is such an important message to tell when you're selling, because a lot of us sell the same things that are already being sold, and making things that are already being sold. So I think that's important to understand that you have a section of that and that we're all here to support you. Jody again says, Lucy was an open book of wholesale knowledge. So if there was anything I had a question on, I knew it would be answered. So that was, those are really great. And they have different pictures because those are stock photos. That's a little weird, but that's okay. Okay. So now it's time to dive into the roadblocks. Roadblock number 1, I don't want to cut my prices in half. Roadblock number 2, I keep my prices low because my clients won't pay more. Roadblock number 3, if I make money at wholesale, I will have to raise my retail prices. Roadblock number 4, pricing out of my industry standard. Some people feel like they can't do that. And we'll talk about that, and why you shouldn't. You should figure out different ways to make sure that you stay in that industry standard. Roadblock number 5, isn't going to market expensive. That's very important to think about. And we'll get to that in just a little bit. So roadblock number 1, I don't want to cut my prices in half. This is the most common roadblock that I hear. I mean, I get it. You have set a price and sold at that price. So how do you change it now? There's a whole module in the Inspired Market Mentorship all about pricing. And so I want you to know that, we'll go through your individual product and how you're sourcing your supplies, what your labor is, how you're planning out when you're going to be making and when you're going to be selling. And all of those things go into pricing. So another roadblock is I keep my prices low because my clients won't pay more. This is something I hear in the retail business and in the wholesale business. And I think it's so important to think, for one, I want you to think, don't cut your client short. You don't know that your clients won't pay more. Sure, you start out selling to your friends and family and you don't want to take advantage of them. So you want to make sure that they're getting a good price. But at the same time, if you're making a quality product, your clients are going to buy these products. Your clients are going to be proud of these products and understand why they cost a little bit more. They're going to understand the story behind it, the time that it takes you to make it, all of those things. So I want you to think about, who is your ideal client? And maybe if you don't believe your ideal clients will pay more, if you're making a product that you are proud of, then there is an ideal client out there for you. So I want you to understand that. And then I'm worried about pricing out of my industry standard. And there are industries that have certain standards of pricing. I always think of the paper industry. So if you think of a card, I know there's a word for that, greeting card. You don't really pay $40 for a greeting card. You pay anywhere from $2.99 to maybe $9.99. And so there is an industry standard. And so we have to think about your supplies that are going into that, how you're producing them, the labor that it takes to go into that. And if your pricing feels like it's higher, then let's figure out how to get your supply cost lower and your labor cost lower. This is the biggest reason that there's not a one size fits all pricing model. If you Google, how do I price my products? You'll get a formula, and that formula doesn't work for everyone. And so that's one thing that we talk about in this. Pricing is a huge part of getting started in your selling your product and understanding who's going to be buying it. Pricing is very important there. And then also making sure that your supplies are right. So we spend a lot of time talking about pricing and for each individual person in the program. Isn't going to a wholesale trade show expensive? So it's a huge investment in your business. I look at it as an investment. It is an expense, but it's an expense and an investment that's going to increase your revenue for years to come. And so, where are you spending money now to market your business? How much are you spending? What is your return on investment? There's lots of there's online markets where you can go to a fair. I'll use that because I feel like most people know about what it is. That first order, you're giving up 25%. That second order, you're giving up 15%, and so on. If you're bringing your own customers in, that's a great thing. You don't have to pay commission, but if we're looking for new customers, we're going to have to pay for them. And so what I want you to understand is standing at your booth, standing at the storefront that you've created at market and selling to these buyers that are walking up to you that you're making a connection with is going to be something that is going to last a lifetime. You're going to build on that relationship, and you're really going to work that relationship so that that expense that in the beginning that you felt like was out of pocket, and you felt like it was more than you could afford, will last a lifetime, the lifetime of your business. So, I have a lot of connection to these wholesale trade shows. They really made a huge difference in my business. So I feel very passionate about them. So let's talk about, let's see, I think I skipped one. Yes, a couple of my past clients. So Jennifer was just in my program. She showed at market in January, and her biggest fear, or the reason that she wanted to sell wholesale, was that working at craft shows, selling to local clients, is a lot of work. She has to sign up for each event way in advance. She never knows what the weather's going to look like or how many people will turn out. And so that was the reason that Jennifer wanted to start selling wholesale and signed up for my program. Lori, on the other hand, was just afraid to charge. She didn't know if it was worth it. She was afraid that her customers, that her friends and family, she didn't want them to have to pay. Oh, sorry, guys. She didn't want them to have to pay. And so she was, really focusing on just giving away her product. And she went through my program last spring, and, we talked about why her jewelry is so beautiful, the time and effort that she puts into it, how she hand selects the beads that go on her bracelets. And her friends and family wouldn't like her bracelets if she didn't do all these things. And now she posts a lot more often on social media. She's been to market. Her first market, I think she wrote 12 stores. She ended up signing up on fair. She's been selling internationally. So her business has completely changed from her just saying, selling to friends that walk into her home or see something on her wrist, or her just giving it away. She's actually selling to people that she doesn't even know. And she's asking them all to pay. So here's a couple of facts about these roadblocks that you have. You can't make a living if you aren't making good margins at a wholesale price. So that's why pricing is so important in the beginning. And we can make some changes to those if you feel like you've already set your price. When you sell at retail, there'll definitely be extra profit to push into marketing. So you sell at that wholesale price, you create your margin. And then when you sell at a retail price, you'll have extra profit to push into these marketing efforts. This one, I think, is just fun. If Oprah calls and wants to add you to her favorite things list, you better be ready. How are you going to produce enough things? And Oprah's not going to call if you're not promoting your product, if it's not at the right price, if you're not able to produce. And then the next fact is your story is a very important part of your business, and you need to learn how to tell it. So let's go into roadblocks about production. What if you can't produce enough for the orders? I feel like this is a roadblock why people don't go to market, because they're afraid of getting too many orders. And, it's a big fear for people. And so what if you can't fill them? What if you can't, produce enough for those orders? And then if you get a lot of orders, you'll have to work harder and at half the price. I know that feels like a roadblock. a couple of facts, going back to those is if you're selling more pieces and making a profit, it will be less work. And you can sell more to stores that will reorder from you. So, think about that for a second. If you're selling to that store that's ordering $400 worth versus one person at a time who's buying $40 worth, you're still going to be making a profit, and you're going to have less work so that you can sell to more stores, build those relationships. So the next fact is going deep with your buyers versus selling what each individual is asking for. I don't know about you, but I have a client right now that has bought lots of pieces of jewelry from me over the years. And she's sending me messages on Facebook asking me if I can create a specific necklace for her. And at one time before, I don't even know if she ever bought one of my kind pieces, but I did make one of a kind pieces. And I did make things commission pieces, but I moved into, creating products that I could sell multiply, that I, leaned into my bestseller, all of those things that make my life a little bit easier. And so if I have one Gail, I may have 50 Gails. And so if I'm trying to make something specific for each individual person, I'm not going to be able to be efficient. I think that's the word I was looking for. The efficiency is going to go out the window. So I'm not going to make as much money because I'm going to be spending a lot more time on it. If I'm going deep with those buyers are going to tell me what the new trends are, what people are looking for. And then I can go into those bestsellers and maybe make adjustments to those, or create a new something, because I know that the trends are changing, because I've got these buyers that are out there that are looking for the latest and the greatest. So this roadblock, I feel like, is, hard for some people, and then it's not hard for some people. But when you are, when you're creating a product-based business, you don't want to be the face of your business. I hear this a lot from people. And I think there's a lot of merit in that. Because marketing is sleazy, and you don't want to have to do social media or talk about yourself. I mean, social media feels like a full-time job, right? I mean, it just really feels like something that if we're not doing the social media, we're not going to be able to sell. And what do we talk about on social media? How do we market ourselves without feeling salesy? And then another roadblock I hear is, I'm sure they'll get tired of hearing me talk about myself and my products. And you know what? You're going to get tired of hearing yourself talk about yourself and your products, but your customers are not. The facts are, your customers can't remember what you do half the time. You're going to build these relationships with them, but I run into people constantly. They're like, now, what are you doing again? Which reminds me, I need to talk about it more. You need to be able to tell your audience about your company and connect with them by telling them the why behind your products. This is so important, especially as a small business. I can guarantee you that me telling my story in the beginning and talking to people about why I created the jewelry that I created, how I got there, what was brought out in me to be able to do that, connected with someone. And when you connect with them, you become their friend. Let's go back to the like, know, and trust. When someone sees your products and they like them, then when they get to know you, they can then trust you, and they're going to buy anything that you sell. So here's another fact. Not showing up is a way to get lost in the shuffle. We were just talking about it this morning in my group. There are a million people showing up with reels. Everybody's doing a reel right now, and we're all getting lost in the shuffle. The trending sounds are no longer trending by the time I hear them. So I'm getting lost in the shuffle. And then I'm not standing out means that I'll blend in with the crowd. And so how can I stand out? I did write down a little for roadblock number 3. People, why wouldn't you just say, can I just sell my oven mitt without showing my face? I used the oven mitt as an example because it's such a simple thing that we just use so that we don't burn our hand. But marketing something that you've made can be hard because you don't want to be salesy. And so if you're marketing an oven mitt, you've got to tell the story behind it. Are you making an oven mitt out of old quilts that your grandmother made? Or are you making an oven mitt that matches the kitchen, and it tells a story of why this kitchen, the aesthetic of this kitchen. I think there's a lot of things that we can tell a story about an oven mitt, when in reality, we need oven mitts so that we don't burn our hands when we're getting the meal out of, or the pizza or whatever it is out of the oven. Okay, so let's see. Those are our facts. Now, there are a million products out there that do exactly the same thing as yours. What makes yours different is you. Your story is the connection they need to want to buy your product. We get ads shoved in our faces at every turn, and it's hard to know if the product is legit when you don't know who you're buying it from. I mean, who has bought a cute dress off an Instagram ad? You got it 8 weeks later or 8 months later, and then it was made out of some terrible fabric, and there was no way it was going to fit on your body. Raising my hand because I've done that. It's hard. You see these ads and you think, oh, that's really cute, but who is this company? Do I trust this company? And so what can you do to make sure that your clients that see your product, get to know you? That's so important. So let's just go through a few wholesale 101 lessons. Oh, I just had to throw this in there, guys. Okay. So if you know me at all, I love to go to the Bahamas. This is one of those things that, I do for my family. This is one of the reasons that I sell wholesale. And the water's really that blue. So when I was, back in 2015, I was going to a little local market at least once a month. So 10 to 12 months out of the year, one weekend a month at least, I was going to a market. And my family wanted to go on vacation. And so I had to plan around those markets. Well, some of them happened on big weekends, big, vacation weekends. And my kids were in school, so we only had certain times that we could go on vacation. And, going to those local markets, I didn't know what the weather was going to be. I didn't know if anyone was going to show up. I didn't know if anyone was even going to, find my products something that they were looking for that day. And so in 2015, at the end of the year, it was in October, I remember coming home from a show in Nashville, which was a great show. I tend to buy more at the shows than I sell, or maybe break even. Maybe breaking even is a better way to look at it. There's two different pockets. One is my home pocket, and then the other is my business pocket. So I made money. But I was tired. I was exhausted. My family had been doing something fun for the weekend. I was in the car. My car had been loaded down with, my booth and all my jewelry. And I sold a ton of jewelry, but I sold a ton of one necklace. And at the end of the show, I had people, other stores coming up and saying, hey, do you sell these wholesale? And because I had so much experience, yes, I did sell them at wholesale. I priced my products based on wholesale pricing. And so I was able to sell them. And I was like, oh, let me get out my one-of-a-kind pieces, my art, my heart, and they were like, no, we just want the prism. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And I sold every single one of them. I probably took 250 of those prism necklaces and sold every single one. So on the way home, I'm having that conversation with myself. Is this worth it? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And I realized I need to go to market. I had no idea. I'd been to market plenty of times as a buyer, as a buyer, but I'd never been to market as a seller. And so I was super, worried about it. Was I going to be able to do this? But I knew that I wanted to go on vacation with my family. And then I wanted to know when my orders would be shipped and be able to plan my year before it even started. So just want you to know that you don't have to cut your prices in half. You can produce enough products for a lot of orders. You can create a plan to produce, sell, ship, and still have time for rest and relaxation. That you are creating a lifestyle that will give you the life you're looking for, a life that is making a profit selling something you make that customers want to buy, and managing your time, money, and playtime so you can go whatever it is for you. For me, it was going on vacation with my kids. Now my kids and just my husband. I'm an empty nester. And so my kids they have work schedules and they're not off at the same time as everybody else. So we have to do things at a different time. But I get to go off for the weekend with my husband because I know when my products are being shipped. I know when I need to make them, and I have a little bit more time on my hands. So you can make more money and work less, and you can have a plan that will give you time to enjoy life. I'll give you my personal example. So this, I kind of talked about it a second, about going to market, but in 2015, I did 10 shows in 12 months and I made $82,000, which was a great year, right? I mean, I'm not complaining about $82,000. That was, a wonderful year. And at the time I was selling more one of a kinds than anything. In 2016 though, I went to market. I did 2 shows, January and July, in 12 months, and I sold 181,000. I leaned into that bestseller. I took it to market with me. I met buyers. I created relationships, and I did. I doubled I'm not really good at math. I doubled my income from the year before, just doing 2 shows in 12 months. So now I'm going to show you something that I was thinking, I didn't know if this would, resonate with people, but I really just want you to see everything. I hope you can all see it, but you can see, so pre-market is over here on the left. You can probably see my little blue thing, but, and you can see that this year was, pretty even. I mean, exactly what you would think. I mean, January and February are probably a little slower. March, I was probably, it was spring break. I was probably on vacation with my kids. I didn't do a show. April, I obviously did a show. I think that's when I went to the Country Living Fair in Nashville. And so then from then on, you can see, all through the summer, I was making good money. And then in September, and then, October, November, December, I'm picking up a few stores. I have a lot of people are learning about my business. And so a lot of people are buying it as gifts. So these November and December numbers are based on, individual, these are all individual sales and maybe a few stores sprinkled in. And then I decided to go to market. So right here, I decided to go to market, continue to sell as hard as I could. And then I did that 82,000. And then I go to, I go to market in January, and I'm not focusing on selling direct to customer. I'm not focusing on, going to any little local craft shows. And so that number in January is 1,600. The number in February is 1,500. And then March, 876. You see it picks up in April. That's when I started shipping. So I took all of these orders. I took 33,000 or whatever, like 50 something thousand dollars worth of orders in January and didn't ship them out until the end of April. And, I was overwhelmed, if I'm honest. In January, we opened 125 stores. My minimum order was $100, which was nothing at the time. Most people spend around $250, but I had a ton of orders. People loved what I was selling, and I had 6 different products. That was it. It was the same necklace, just different variations of it. That's when I introduced Inspire to Give. And so, but you can see in May is when I shipped everything out. So I did $33,000, almost $34,000 in May. That was my first big month based on market. And then you can see June again, in July, I was at market again. So I was really focusing on getting there, wrote those orders. So I did 22,000 in August, 13,000 in September. And then I was still selling direct to customer. I did lots of direct to customer. But I also was selling, I had my products ready to ship, but at this point in the year. And so people could call me and say, hey, Lucy, I want to reorder this, or they would send an order on my website. And I was shipping out as much retail as I was wholesale. And I did 182,000. And then this year is 2017. So this was a true year of what my months look like based on going to market. So because I was ready to ship, just point that out. My jewelry was ready. I knew what to sell, and people wanted it immediately to fill those stores back up. So 30,000 in January, 32,000 in February, 15,000 in March. And then you can see as they go down. And then you can also see December, fourth quarter, I did almost $70,000. And if you look at my first quarter, I did almost the same. It was just spread out a little bit differently, but I did $254,000 in 2017. And I went to market 3 times. I did January market, July market, and then I did an October market, which was an apparel market. And that made a big difference in my business. So how do we do this? We got to price our products right from the start. Oh, I'm just spinning around here, people. Price your products right from the start and create a process for production so you aren't always behind. It's time to start making your business work for you and not the other way around. It's an ability to recognize that you can do less work, have more time, and make more money by pricing right, having a production process, and telling the story that will connect the buyer to your product and make them want to tell it to their customers. Selling one-to-one is a lot of work that will keep you on your toes. Selling to stores is knowing when stores are buying and building relationships so you can produce products at a profitable price and find time to be creative. So let's just do a quick recap of our roadblocks. You can make a profit at wholesale without cutting your prices in half. You can produce enough products if Oprah puts you on her favorite things list because someone from her magazine found your products at a trade show. You can connect with your clients and sell your products by telling your story. Let's go jump into the circle of success. So selling at a wholesale trade show can introduce you to the buyers so you can create a profitable business. What does it take to be successful selling wholesale at market? Here's our circle of success. So the first thing you want to do is have products priced for profit. We're going to nail down your supply costs. We're going to nail down your labor costs. You want to nail down the cost per piece. So not just cost per, item product, but the cost per piece that it takes to the supplies that it takes to get into that, to make that product. So these are all things that this is where you want to be writing notes, by the way. You can feel free to screenshot this as we go through, but you want to really make sure that your products are priced for profit by knowing these three things. And then you need a professional production process. And in order to have a professional production process, that's a little hard for me to say, especially because I've been talking so much and my mouth is dry. I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay, so you want to streamline. That's what's going to give you that professional production process. You want to streamline your production. You want to streamline your labor. You want to streamline your inventory, your packaging, and your shipping. So all of those things are very important. Again, write it down, take a screenshot. You'll see the whole thing in a second. So then your next thing is a storefront with a story. You're going to have a storefront, no matter if you think it's your website, if you're setting up at a craft show, or if you're setting up at a trade show, you want to put your best foot forward. So this is what you would imagine if you had a store, what it would look like and how your customers would want to come in. You want to create a connection. You want to talk about yourself and why you created this product. You want to tell your founder story. Hold on. Oh, that's not good. Let's go back to there. Is that where we were? Oh no. Yes. Okay. So take a screenshot of that if you haven't already, so you can go back and look at that. I am going to send this in an email, so you'll have it to watch again, but taking a screenshot sometimes is easier than writing all of that down. So what does it take to prepare for the market and sell successfully? That was our question in the very beginning. And the conclusion is buyers want to meet you at market and build a relationship with you. They're looking for good products. They're looking for things that their customers are going to want. They're not just finding them, pulling them out of thin air. They need to meet you and build a relationship with you. So I want you to know your pricing. I want you to know how to create a production process. And I want you to tell your story. All of these three things, this is the success. These are the circle of success. And it's probably things that you're like, well, I already knew that, but I need you to really know it. I really need you to know your pricing. I want you to break it down. I need you to know how to create that production process to make it easier on you. And then I want you to tell your story because your customer wants to know who you are. It works. So here's a testimonial from my latest graduate, Jennifer. She was so sweet. Yesterday, I texted her and I was like, hey, could you do a quick video or just write something out for me? So she did. And I adore her. We really got to know each other really well. She was the only client that I had from July until this January, and we really worked close together. It really helped me hone in on what exactly I wanted out of this program, how I wanted it to help other people. So Jennifer says, Lucy is an absolute answer to my prayers. I had dabbled in a little wholesale, but not enough to stop doing weekend vendor events. Lucy's course was exactly what I was looking for. She got me ready to do Atlanta Market in January. I was completely prepared when I got there for a successful show. I highly recommend Lucy. So thank you, Jennifer. You are a great, great, great client. She had a great show. She opened a lot of stores, but she also built a lot of relationships. She opened one store, shipped out her jewelry immediately. They got it, and the buyer was like doing a story about it on Saturday, sold out before they even got it in the store. So she placed a reorder. So that's what I'm talking about, building this relationship with buyers. So creating a product can be fun, but if your pricing isn't right and you can't manage a lot of orders, you'll be burnt out and be ready to quit before you can make a profit. There are so many formulas out there for pricing that do not work for every product and can get you in a bind. Selling direct to customers may seem like more money, but it's a lot more work too. Learning to sell your story is important when it comes to being successful at wholesale. And here's how I can help you. I can train you to price your products for profit at wholesale. I can show you a production process that will free up time and give you rest and play. And I can give you marketing skills that will help you tell your story in a genuine and connecting way. The Inspired Market Mentor program is now open. You can click that link, I think, and it'll take you to the sales page. But if you want to hang out for a few minutes and do the Q&A, then we'll do that first. So what's included in the Inspired Market Mentorship? It's intentionally designed to be a full 6-month intensive. So this is not a quick do-it-yourself course. This is a 6-month intensive. It'll allow you to build out the pricing, production, positioning, and relationship building. By the end of this program, you'll have presented your products at market for wholesale. The coaching. So you'll get 2 weeks each month. You'll get support from me in 90-minute coaching calls. We'll discuss your products from the industry standard and pricing to packaging and presentation. We will break down exactly what your business needs to be successful. So here's the program. During the 6 months of the program, you will go through lessons each month that will give you the confidence to show up at market and sell your products wholesale. You will take action steps as homework that you will turn in each month to make sure you're on track to show at the next big gift market in Atlanta. And that's just where I go. It's pretty close to me, and so it's easy for me to go there. It is considered one of the biggest markets in America and in the world. It's the first market usually of the year. And so I think Dallas is actually pushed a week before, but Atlanta is much bigger and a lot more people come to Atlanta. So we've created a timeline that will give you 4 months before market, and then the month of market, and then 1 month after. So this program was designed to help you be as successful as possible, and I'll be there every step of the way. So we'll start in March, April, May, June, and then you'll go to market in July. And then in August, we'll come back together and we'll talk about fulfilling those orders and building those relationships. And it's the beginning of your wholesale progress. So the community is always so important. I think people that have been in communities, and a lot of you probably have, it's so you realize the connection that you get. So you're going to connect with other product-based businesses in this curated program. So there's very few spots in this program. Just FYI, I'm not opening up to a lot of people. You're going to surround yourself with successful wholesale businesses. You can ask questions and get support in our private Boxer channel. I've had a lot of success on Boxer. I think it's an easy way to communicate with people in a group. You'll also get 100% of me. I'll be there to answer your questions on Boxer, and you'll get those 90-minute calls twice a month where we can talk about your business specifically. And then multiply that with others' experiences and opinions, and you'll be getting all the information you need to be successful. So combine all of that in this comprehensive, in-depth, transformational program. It's so hard to give you all that you'll get out of this program, but I want you to know I'll be here to answer each person's question so that I understand your business as well as you do. You'll leave this program with a successful market under your belt and all the tools to continue your wholesale business. Y'all, this is just the beginning. You'll walk away with the knowledge and the confidence you need to show up at market as a reputable product maker and sell wholesale to your dream stores. This is not a course. This is a program. There are limited spots available, and it won't be open again until July 2022. So you'll have ongoing direct access to me for 6 months, which I feel like that's what I learned in this last session with Jennifer is her being able to, we text because it was just her. So I gave her my phone number, but, I will give you the Boxer channel and you'll be able to send me a question at any time, privately or in the group. I love when we talk about it in the group or when you ask questions in the group, because then everyone else usually has those same questions, or they may have something that I haven't even thought of. So imagine what it'll feel like when you can price your products at wholesale and make money. You can sell to stores that will reorder from you each season. You can plan for time off and creativity to create new products. You can get lots of orders and not worry about production. You can tell your story and know that it connects with your clients, and that's why they buy from you. You'll walk into your dream store and see your products. So this program is for you if you're a creator, an artist, or product maker who's got a proven product and you're tired of selling single pieces to a lot of clients, or at a different market every weekend and missing time with your family. And you want to start to streamline your business to sell bigger orders to stores that will buy over and over from you. Are you ready to do less and make more money? Apply now. Okay, so I'll stop sharing my screen, but notice that, so my Instagram is Lucy's Inspired. You can DM me to ask questions personally later after this, or you can email me at lucy@lucysinspired.com. So I'm gonna stop sharing and see the faces that are still here. I feel like I was a little long-winded. I was hoping to be finished a little bit earlier than that, but feel free to take yourself off mute so we can talk about questions. Let's see, I'm gonna go through and look. We got some Ashley from New York, Debbie from Fargo. Debbie's ideal store is Pottery Barn. I love that. Kendra, Christian bookstores, church bookstores, boutique gift shops, Christian shopping guides. I love that. I'm wondering the same thing, Juanita. What is Kendra's product? And Brooke, our traveling friend who is from Iowa, but she's in Florida now. I think she's in the Keys, which is a great place to be. Ashley, yes, when Oprah calls, you pick up the phone. So I think, feel free. I would love for you to jump off of mute and let's just talk about some questions that you might have. Or maybe if you're ready, let's talk about that. If you have questions about the program, Debbie has already signed up for the program. She went with me to market as a VIP to see a VIP preview of market in January, which was really exciting. I had 3 people go with me. 2 of them have already signed up. So 2 spots are already filled. But yeah, I'd love to answer any questions if anybody's got any. So I'm going to be quiet for a second so y'all can talk.
Okay, I have a question, Lucy.
Okay, yeah.
So I've been working with FAIR for about a year now, and I've had, I guess on my measuring scale, some success that I was just excited about. I've touched about, I don't know, between 45 and 50 stores across the US.
That's awesome.
And so that has spurred some individual sales because people see them in their shops, and then they'll sometimes go to my website because every store is unique in what they order from me and they don't all carry it all.
Yeah.
So what's got my curiosity and a little bit of frustration is that out of those 45 stores, maybe a handful regularly place reorders with me. And so I haven't seen near what I hoped I would have for sell through and with the other stores. And I was just kind of wondering what you thought. How do I dig into that? How do I find out what's making the difference? And how can I improve that situation?
Yeah. I mean, it's building that relationship, like how are you building that relationship with the stores? Are you sending emails? And I know that's the problem, the con, I guess, with FAIR is they're introducing you to a lot of new people that wouldn't have seen your product, anywhere else. But at the same time, the communication direct to that buyer is hard because I don't think you get their email, right? You only communicate with them through the portal.
Yeah, through their messaging center. And I feel like I do as much as I can. As soon as I get their order, I reach out and say, hey, I'm so excited. I'm honored to be in your store, working on it right now. Let me know how else I can support you. And I put that out there. And I would probably say 25% of them will respond to me and be like, great. And the rest of them I never hear from. So I don't even know if it's an email they check.
Well,
and
I'll tell you.
Sometimes.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, sometimes we go creep them on Facebook and find out what they look like and everything. And occasionally I have sent like a Facebook message to reach out even more. But for some reason, I feel like I don't feel totally good about that. And I don't know, I feel like that's reaching beyond what the level is supposed to be, but maybe not. I mean, I guess they did reach out to me and it's their business, right?
Yeah. So a lot of things to touch on in this. They did reach out to you. And so I love that you're following up with them as soon as you get that order. I would send a follow-up a week later or 2 weeks later, once you know it's been received in their store, and say, do you have any questions? Can I give you, here's a few tips on how to sell my product to your customers. Here's a little sales pitch that, they might could give to train their employees. And then I would follow up again when you think, the sell-through has been, enough time that I would follow up again. And all this can be through fair, but it is not, you're not overstepping any boundaries by following them on Facebook, following them on Instagram, commenting on their store and saying, I love your store. I'm so thankful that you're carrying my products in your store. You may not want to, like when they post something, you don't want to be like, oh, go by and look, tell me your product again.
It's called Scripture Flips.
Okay. And what is it exactly?
They are these little books of scripture, and each of them have a topic. So this is actually the first one I created. It's called Beloved. So all the verses in here are reminders of how much God loves us.
Oh, I love
and
that.
I've got 12 different topics, and they're all just, the idea was that it's a singular focus on one theme at a time. So I have matching journals and jotters and things like that. So I mix and match like bundles of this kind of stuff. Yeah. But this is the bread and butter right here.
Yeah, I bet. I would say too, like people love a little like a little pickup, like set that at the like that's what I would say, even like, hey, grab a basket and put these at the counter so that when people are checking out, they can pick them up and look through them, while they're wrapping their, what they've bought. And then they'll be like, oh, I'm going to need one of these, but I might as well buy one I feel like that's a good gift. Like
yes,
that's
for sure.
One of the things that I would buy for myself, but I'd also buy for my daughter, maybe my mom, and my best friend's birthday that's coming up, so I would grab 4 of them if they were right there in front of me. Obviously that's expensive real estate, to be right on the counter. There may be other things that need to be up there. But suggest that you're not overstepping boundaries by giving those buyers ways to sell your products. You're not overstepping by following up with them and saying, hey, just want to know how everything's selling. I'd love to answer any questions that you might have. Building that relationship, that's what building that relationship is. Okay. It's following them on Facebook and Instagram, and not just DMing them privately. Like you need to be commenting on what they're posting, commenting on something that's totally different than your product. Maybe commenting on something that's similar to your product, and throw in, somehow say, oh, I would love to have that to go along with, my little jotter, my little, what do you call it?
Flip. They're flips. It's a scripture flip, but I call it the flip. Yeah. So on the commenting with social media, it's going to show up as Kendra, and they won't know who I am, because lots of times, depending on, I think, what their settings are, I may not be able to log on as scripture flips. You know what I'm saying?
So you're talking mostly on Facebook.
Well, Instagram too, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a business Instagram?
I do. Yes. That would be no problem. Yeah. Because that's all I have is a business Instagram. But
I mean, they need to know your name, and maybe in your, I don't know how you can change it in your Facebook settings. If you can say like certain things that I have, Lucy Farmer, and then I'll put the dash and then Lucy's Inspired, like that's my name, or it may say that, somehow create that in my profile, on my personal profile. But yeah, I agree with Juanita. I'm pretty sure you as your business can comment, you're just making a comment. You're not trying to post on their page. You're not trying to do a brand new post. You're just commenting on something that they have posted.
Okay. It's probably then just user error. Sometimes I can't get it to comment as my business. It only shows up as myself.
Facebook changes.
Probably my problem.
Yeah, they change the platform so often that I don't even know now where I'm supposed to go chat. And then I'm commenting, and I'm like, wait, I didn't mean to be commenting as my business on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so, yeah, listen, I don't think Facebook knows. I mean, they know what they're doing. Obviously, it's a huge conglomerate of a business, or of a company, but on the little, there's a lot of Indians up there making changes, chiefs. That's what I meant to say. A lot of people that are making decisions, and they don't necessarily all communicate with each other. So we just have to, figure it out where we can.
I could say, hey, it's Kendra with Scripture Flips.
Yeah.
Flips, and I love that.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
And that's what I would do. I would, create whether it's 10 minutes, every morning or once a week, however often you want to go in and find those stores. And I would do that to stores that you're not even in yet. Like find those stores that you're not in that you want to be in. What was your dream store list? Go follow your dream store list and, start commenting on their things, and maybe not mention your product, but you're going to comment, and it's going to say, maybe you just say, Kendra with Scripture Flips. Okay. And I love this, or I love that, or I want this. I need to buy one of those, whatever that looks like, just building that relationship. Because if you're like me, I mean, I know the people that comment on my stuff all the time. I may not know them personally, but I'm like, oh, that girl comments on everything that I post, so then if she had a business, I'd be like, oh, you've been trying to build a relationship with me. Tell me more, let's create build this together, even though it's, your internet friend.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. But fair's a great thing. I think fair's amazing in a lot of ways. It introduces you to people and you can do it from the comfort of your home, And so that's why I believe, and even in this program, it's not, if in July, your plan is not to go to market, but your plan is to create a sale on Fair, that we can go through all of those things and, make sure that you're showing up on Fair in the way that, you need to be showing up, because they have those, I think they have those shows. What do they call them? Do they call them?
Oh, like seasonal markets. Yeah. We
Yeah.
just finished one last weekend.
I'm letting someone else in. So hopefully they're someone that's interested in wholesale marketing. Okay. So did that answer your question? Do you have any other questions?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And feel free to ask more. Is there anybody else that has a question about going to market or what that looks like? I don't know if Ashley's on, but she creates products, but she also she has an online store. And so Debbie and I met Ashley in Atlanta, and got to walk around with her and see what she was looking at and products that she was interested in for her online shop. And I think that's another thing that you're going to find when you go to market is you're going to want to check out the other people around you. You're going to, when Debbie and I went together for the market preview, we weren't looking at, the cute stuff. With Ashley, we were looking at the cute stuff, but when we were looking for Debbie and how she was going to set up her booth at market, we were looking at how is that booth displayed? Oh, they're a candle maker. This is how their stuff is displayed. And this is what what my look is. This elaborate booth over here would cost us twice as much money to create. How can we do that in a simpler way? Or how can we still get the message across by, the presentation without just, breaking the bank? Some people do break the bank and everyone stops at their booth and everyone takes their picture in front of their booth, but not everyone buys from that booth, so it's not necessarily the biggest and brightest booth. It's the one that tells the story in the best way that gets that buyer to stop. And so I think that's the difference in, a fair, you're waiting on someone to find you on Fair, and at market, at a trade show, there's 10,000 people walking around and they're, trying to cover the whole thing. A lot of times they can't. So that's why your booth needs to stand out, and you need to be able to reach out and say hello to them as they're walking by, and have the, even with Fair, I think it's having those, a place to take inventory of all the people that have stopped, what their store was about. I like to write notes, about each person that I talk to, and how can I follow them on Instagram immediately and start, building a relationship with them, whether they write an order or not. Okay. So then Juanita's asking, how does it work with selling for online stores? Do they stock the physical product to sell? Yes. 90% of the time they do. Ashley could probably answer this for herself, but because she's done some pre-sales. We're in a group together. And so I know a lot about her business, but in most stores that I know, even if they have a brick and mortar and an online store, they'll bring everything in. Some things may just be sold online. Some things may be just sold in the brick and mortar, or they may be sold in both. They usually buy the products up front. I think that's another thing. A lot of people, when they start looking at, selling to a store, a lot of times that local store will say, oh, you can bring it in on consignment. And that's not wholesale. Them buying, taking your product and not getting paid until it's sold is considered consignment. That's not really a wholesale program. And so you have to, you really have to create that, exactly what you want out of a store. For me, it was really hard. I did have some stores that had consignment. I took a store, a museum store in Huntsville, which is North Alabama, that even at the trade show, I took them as a client because I knew they would do a lot of reorders, and they did, but they only sold consignment. And so they didn't pay for it until it sold. I don't recommend that. I think there's a lot of, paperwork that has to be done, a lot of inventory that you have to pay attention to. And so I would make sure that you, but yes, they do. To answer that question, they do stock the physical product. When taking product, do you take a lot or just enough for people to see and create a pretty display? Okay, this is something that you'll learn in the program. You want it to, like, think about when you walk into a store now. When you walk into a store and you see something that you want to buy, are there 2 or 3, or is there a big display? So this is something you think about. We call it your MOQ, or your minimum order quantity, or a pre-pack. So you want to set, I create pre-packs by saying, what do I want this to look like in the store? I have a display that I created. It's got my picture on it. It's got my story on it. It's got pegs, so that necklaces can be hung, bracelets can be hung. And when it's empty, I want that store to call me and say, hey, I need to restock because now my display is empty. But I also want that display to be full so I can fill it up myself. I create what I call a pre-pack. And let's say it's $350 worth of jewelry, and it's 3 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these. And, what's the word? When you have a lot of different things. Anyway, lots of colors, but so they get a little of everything. But that makes it, that equals that $350. And now I know exactly what they're going to have in their store. I don't want them to have, a small amount, because I want them to walk in that store. I want my customer or a customer to walk in that store and say, oh, this must be the newest thing. This must be what's on trend, or this buyer I love this store, everything in it. And these people love this jewelry, and therefore they bought a lot of it. So I obviously need some. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I don't want you to take just enough. I want you to fill that store. And most people, if you're a new store and you go to market, or if you're a new vendor and you go to market, you want your minimum to be around 200, maybe 250. But you want there to be enough product for them to buy that much, depending on what your price point is. If your price point, like for candles, maybe a little bit higher. And again, like with candles, I would say the minimum order is 24. They need at least 24 candles, whether you let them do assortment. That was the word I was looking for a minute ago. Whether you let them do an assortment or whether they buy one fragrance at 24. You set that precedence, because you don't want, Sally and her mom buying for their friends for Christmas. You don't want them to be able to individually pick the little thing. You want to know that there's a display in a store with your product on it. And when people walk in, it is legit, it is, you are a legitimate company. That was a little soapbox, sorry. Ashley says she's here. And then, stocking the physical product. But then, I think drop shipping, that's and it's also depending on what store you're working with, some of them might ask for drop ship. So are there any other questions? It's just after 11. So I want to honor your time. If you need to go, I totally understand. But if you have a question, I'd love to answer anything that you're thinking about, and like I said, This program is going to be open. So I'm going to be taking clients up until the end of February. And then we're going to get started in March because I want to have those specific months to get ready to go to market. So there's, time to ask questions if you want to DM me or send me an email. I'm happy to answer questions after this.
Lucy, I'm going to hop off just because we have another call coming up too, but
Yes.
if you're thinking about doing this, having spent time with Lucy at market, I mean, you know what you're talking about. And I felt so much better about all of it. And I'm excited. Like, I don't have any questions about whether or not this is the right move or not. And I have a gazillion questions, but they're questions that I need to have wait till the class starts. So.
All right. Thanks, Debbie. I really appreciate you.
Yeah. Bye. See you later.
All right, bye. Yeah, so the pricing, we can talk about that real quick. It's on the website, which I can drop that in here so y'all can go to that. Let's see, hold on 1 second and I'll pull that up and drop it in. But sorry. Okay. Let me see, I think this will work. It's a weird link because it's kind of the back end of my website, but somebody wants to click on that and just see if that works. I have another real link that I can send you, but my computer's slow. Here we go. Okay, so either one of these. Okay, it works good. Thanks, Juanita. Okay, so the way I'm pricing this program is it's 6 months. So each month is $1,000. So you pay $1,000 a month. If you decided to sign up today, then your payment would come out on the 8th of every month. So the 8th for 6 months. It is also you can pay up front, obviously that'd be $6,000. But you don't get a break or a discount if you pay up front. It's just, that's what the price is. So it's $1,000 a month. Like I said, you're going to get a training that's going to have 4 to 5 different videos, small videos. So you can, take it in. We're going to talk that second week about what that training was. We'll talk about the action step for that month. And then if you have questions, and then we'll go the next week, the third week, I want you working on the action step. So, in the very first module, it's going to be, like positioning your product and branding your product and the vision of your product. And so it's going to be the same thing that we did in the beginning of this is your dream stores. What are your dream stores? And I want you to physically put your product. I say physically, like, I don't mean like walk in and put your products in the store because that might be weird, but take a picture of it, and place your products in there, get in Photoshop and do some finagling. And what would that look like? Or just write it out, write out what it would feel like to see your products in that store. Because I don't want this to be I'd love to see my stuff in Anthropologie, but you don't really do anything about it. Like, I want you to find that dream store. I want you to find that buyer, find the phone number, find the email, find the person that you can find, that you can reach out and talk to them, and it may be one of those things that you don't actually do. You don't actually email them, but I want you to have that information. So then when you're confident at the end of market, you reach out to them and you say, hey, I just went to a trade show. I opened 12 stores across the country and I'd love to see my products in your store, because you're going to have the confidence then. So we're going to work on action steps every single month that's going to get you to make sure that you're fully prepared, just like Jennifer was. That's what Jennifer said. When I helped her set up her booth that day, the first day of market in January. And she was like, Lucy, I feel such a calmness. I don't feel nervous or stressed or what have I forgotten? She said, because I believe that I have everything that I need, that you've given me every tool that I need, and that God put me here in this place for a reason. And, you think you go to this trade show. I'll just give you a little bit of Jennifer's story too. You go to this trade show and you think, okay, there's 10,000 plus buyers walking around here. I should get 50 stores. That's not a lot to ask, and then Lucy said she got 125 the first time she went. But I don't want you to think that number is not relevant. That number is not very important, as important as it is to take 6 or 12 or 15 stores that you get their information that buy from you. And then maybe you got 25 cards, or 25 other companies that are interested in your product, but they just didn't have the money, or you're new. They don't know how proven you are. They're not ready to take a chance on you, but you're meeting these people and you're creating this relationship, or you're going to create a relationship with them. So just like back to Kendra's, question, you're going to follow them on Facebook. You're going to follow them on Instagram. You're going to start building a relationship with them so that when they come back to market in July and you're there, and they'll be like, oh, that's right, I wanted to buy from you. And now I know more about your product. I know more about your business. I'm ready to write an order. I feel like I went around the circle. Oh, so that was the action step. And then the last week we'll do a Q&A, like, where are you? I want you to present that action step. I want you to kind of present your homework and say, okay, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. The pricing module will go over pricing with you. I talk about pricing a lot in this presentation because it's so important. You want to make sure you get your pricing right. I mean, Ashley can tell you probably too, from a retailer's point of view, to have her store, there's a lot of things that she buys that she has to price a lot higher, and it's scary. She's like, oh, are people going to buy this? And then she has a waiting list, of people that want to buy this. So there is a customer out there that's going to pay the price. There's a customer that wants your product. And if you've got your prices right already, then now all we have to do is make sure that we're getting the marketing. And that's a whole nother, section. I mean, we're breaking it down. I'll just give you the modules real quick. So it's vision, positioning, and branding. And then we'll go through pricing, product, and it's another P. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it for you, so I'm not just flailing on this. So month 2, we'll talk about products, pricing, and packaging. Packaging is very important and sometimes kind of hard, on how you're packaging your products. Month 3 is the systems for mass production. I talked about that a lot. And, in this webinar, production is so important to keep you, give you that confidence, give you that freedom that you need. And then month 4 is prepare for market. So month 4, which is June, all we're going to do is create a booth. We're going to get your postcards, or how you're going to take all of the information from the buyers that come up to you, what you're going to talk to them about. The action step for that month is you actually presenting your story to the group. How are you going to pitch these stores that come up to you? What are you going to say to them when they come up? Because I want you to be confident in saying that when you're there. I don't want you to wait to start practicing it when they're in front of you. I want you to practice it in front of us so that you can find that confidence so that it starts coming out of your mouth. By the time I quit doing markets, I could say my spiel for my Inspire to Give and literally be thinking about something else, and the words were just falling out of my mouth. It was the weirdest thing. I remember thinking, my gosh, do I sound like a robot? I feel like a robot. That's what I would be thinking when I would be giving my pitch. And then month 5, we're going to be at market. So I'll be there. I'm actually going to be taking another VIP group there, but the day, on setup day, the day before market opens, I'll be there to, help you. Okay, you don't have enough something to cover. Let's figure out how we can make it look good. Where does your position of your table need to be? Do you have enough, before you get there, it won't be a do you have enough, but are your pictures posted on the wall like they should be? Are you going to be inviting people in? So we'll be, and then we'll be selling, and I'll be there with my VIP group. We'll come by and see you, let you go to the bathroom. Those are all things that people worry about. How am I going to do this alone? And then month 6, we'll come back. We'll talk about fulfilling those orders and making sure that you get everything you need. Your whether it's your production process starts then, or your fulfillment starts right away. And then go through every little detail of building that relationship with that buyer, the ones you got as a buyer, that wrote orders, and the ones that are potential clients. And then start reaching out to those dream stores. So lots of good, fun stuff. It's going to be great. Like I said, I've got 2 people in there now. You met Debbie. She's one of them. She makes candles. And then I have a guy that does t-shirts. So I've got 2 people in there right now. So there's going to be, a good community, 3 of us so far that are going to be, going through and diving into their businesses, really making sure that they know what they're doing. I'm probably in the next few weeks going to be doing a few more lives. I'm hoping to have Jennifer on, who was just my past graduate, and then Lori, who's set up now twice at Market. So you can get her information and understand what she did. But it's definitely way past an hour, and we're 20 minutes here. So let's see. Ashley says, I would say pricing that isn't just expecting a retailer to sell it at 2 times is ideal. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Because I've been on both sides, I've been a retailer and a wholesaler. I know what it takes to, I want to make sure that you're taking care of your retailers. That's such an important part of the wholesale business, and is making sure that you're taking care of them and that they have enough margin in their pricing that it's a no-brainer for them to reorder from you. So thanks for saying that, Ashley. Does anybody else have questions?
Real quick, do you have to get accepted? Do you have to apply and get accepted to sell at a wholesale market?
It depends on what section you're in. You do have to apply. And then if you're in, so we, Debbie and Matthew both will be in different sections. So Debbie's going to set up in emerging artist, which is a half price booth. But it's not in the prime location. It's kind of tucked back in a corner, but we'll do things to make sure that people see her. So she does have to be accepted. So she has to present her booth, present her products. And I say present, it's typing out what it's going to look like, maybe doing a little drawing of it for them to accept you. You have to have like floor covering. You can't just do the regular like silky pipe and drape. You have to cover up that pipe and drape, which you want to do because you want people to be make your booth look good. So you do have to be approved to be in that section. But then where Matthew's going to be, he's going to be in general gift, and you have to apply, but you don't have to send them. You don't have to go through a jury to make sure that your booth looks okay. That there's not as many rules, I guess. So it depends on what section of market you would want to be in, or what section of the trade show. Okay, ladies, thanks so much for being here. I hope that I didn't, right there in the middle, I was like, gosh, I've been talking for a long time. I need to wrap this up. So I hope you learned something, though. I hope that you go away with that circle of success and to understand those things that you need to know to be successful at market, whether you go through the program or not. I think those are very, very important to know. And then if you want to join me, I would love to have you. We're going to get started in March. So got a couple of weeks to think about it. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me in any way that you can find on Instagram or Facebook, or email me. I'm happy to chat.
Thank you so much, Lucy.
Yes,
it's great.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
And I'll be sending this so you can watch it again if you'd like. You may not.
Yeah, sure.
But feel free. Okay. All right. Y'all have a great Tuesday.
All right. You too.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.